Hey yo, what's good though? Soul here, and welcome back to the story mode. So, maybe, just maybe, I'm not 100% fully absolutely done with the winds and waves conversation just yet, although I fear this might actually be the last one this time. I have like a bunch of other videos in the tab right now to record. However, this one kind of snuck up on me because it was kind of hidden away, and I just forgot to do this one for whatever reason. And frankly, I would have just walked past it, but hey, you know what? We're still far enough away from receiving any major news or updates in regards to Pokemon Winds and Waves, so if there's any time to get ridiculous about guesses and predictions and thoughts, it's now. Which is why we're gonna get ahead of ourselves a little bit, and this time we're gonna talk about the multiplayer aspect. Now, to an extent, multiplayer has always been an absolutely critical aspect of the Pokemon franchise. Frame 1, they introduced the concept of a link cable so that you could link up a Game Boy with another friend and battle or trade with them. Here we are, 3 decades later, and multiplayer is still an absolutely critical aspect of the entirety of the franchise. Difference being, you don't have to be next to people anymore, and that's actually really sad, but that's a very deep conversation for probably another day. Focusing back in here, there's absolutely no reason to believe that we wouldn't receive heavy multiplayer content for Pokemon Winds and Waves. However, unlike previous titles, we're in a much weirder position when it comes to Winds and Waves. Back at the beginning of April, we received Pokemon Champions, our official Pokemon battle simulator from Ilka. For anybody that's unaware, Pokemon Champions is going to be, most likely, the official VGC Pokemon game that they're going to be utilizing for official tournaments from here on out. Inevitably, throughout the coming years, we're going to receive a lot of updates, more Pokemon access, more gimmick access, and eventually everything's going to blend and we're going to have access to everything we've gotten introduced into the games up to this point as a mechanic. Now, just to be clear, I don't really follow the VGC that much. I don't know exactly all of the going-ons that happen there. But one thing I am kind of certain about is that that's likely going to have some form of effect on how the multiplayer is developed in the generational titles. It could be good, it could be bad. We're just going to have to test the waters and see exactly what they do when it comes to Winds and Waves. And that's precisely what we're here to talk a little bit about today, although it's not specific to just the battling online. There's a lot more to this. We're gonna get through this one quick, so make sure to grab your snack of milk, put some ketchup in there, and make sure to pour it all over your nachos while we talk about how to potentially perfect the multiplayer in Pokemon Winds and Waves. Now, to kick things off, we kinda need to start with the obvious, and that is raid battles. It's probably very clear to a lot of us by now that raid battles are likely going to be a mandatory mechanic that's going to be present in all of the generational titles going forward. You can just definitely tell that when they saw Pokemon Go pop off the way it did and they saw the aspect of raid battles and how much fun that could be as an aspect, a twinkle sparkled in their eye. And despite how the games have turned out overall, the general concept of raid battles, I think I've consistently said for years now, is easily one of the best things they have ever done with these games. Now, I will admit, they are definitely not perfect in how they're designed. When they were first introduced in Generation 8, they definitely felt a little more imbalanced because you were relying very heavily on your teammates, and if those teammates were NPCs, if they died, you couldn't do anything about that. You couldn't really help or heal your teammates all that much. And in Generation 9, they did fix a couple of things here and there, but the switches that they did make ultimately led to it being a little bit janky. And when they introduced the concept of 7-star raid battles, it became unbalanced again. But as of right now, it doesn't really matter all that much how they were introduced. I like them as a concept, I like that they're here, and I think that they were a lot of fun, especially when you were playing with the right teammates. It wasn't until I started doing Pokemon content and really delving into all of these different mechanics and really understanding what Pokemon is at its core that I finally understood what Pokemon was missing for so long and why I was so drawn and attached to the concept of raid battles. And that was more teamwork and camaraderie when it comes to playing with other people. The multiplayer aspect of Pokemon up to Generation 8 was always simply boiled down to battles and trading, and that was pretty much it. And that's cool, that's dandy and all, but one of the things that people got attached to as a concept, especially through the anime, was the idea of traveling with friends and Pokemon and being able to go on a true adventure together and do things together. And I feel like that's something that the games were sorely lacking until they introduced the concept of raid battles. With this mechanic, it finally introduced something completely different, a way for us to play with friends and actually work together, strategize, figure out the best way to defeat an opponent together. I look back fondly in my early days of Pokemon, back when my friends would come over to my house and we would sit in my garage and do Wi-Fi battles in Pokemon Black and White or X and Y, and we would have incredible times just dueling it out. It was fun to get competitive like that, see how you could overpower your friends and be better than them at the game. Hell, it still is. But I have a very similar soft spot in my heart when I reminisce back on the times of raid battling with my friends in generations 8 and 9. Strategizing and collaborating our team so that when we did go into the big fight, we were properly prepared and ready to play together to take down something greater than each other. There's a good reason as to why I spent damn near 400 plus hours in Pokemon Sword and Shield. I know to a lot of people that's probably not a lot, and frankly, half of that is definitely shiny hunting, but my point still stands. I spent a lot more time with that game than I ever thought that I would. And you could definitely tell they tried to up the ante a bit when they tweaked a couple of things here and there to make raid battles in Generation 9, Scarlet and Violet, a little bit scarier. Events felt a lot more supercharged and a lot stronger and scarier than anything we fought back in Generation 8. And even though I didn't do that for nearly as long, it was always really nice to see a new event pop up for a new raid battle that would be really neat and strong, and so many people on my feed would be talking about the strategies that they would use to conquer said raid battle. It creates a nice sense of community, something that everybody playing the game can work towards together and get a better idea of. So, all that to say, I have no doubt in my mind that in some way, shape, or form, raid battles are going to be a thing in Pokemon Winds and Waves. Or, at the very least, I'm really hoping that's the case, because based on everything that I've said so far, it would be an absolutely foolish decision not to have one of the best mechanics introduced to the mainline generational titles not included in Generation 10. That would be stupid. And honestly, while we're still on the subject, I was extremely disappointed to find out that Rogue Mega Battles didn't have a multiplayer feature to it. I feel like having a feature like that where you could play alongside friends in real time and battle actual dangerous Rogue Mega evolved Pokemon would be easily one of the best features they could have added and would have elevated people's opinions of Legends EA by like tenfold, for sure. Okay, maybe not that much, but my point still stands. I feel like people would have been a lot more lenient if it had more content like that. Basically, like, I don't know, Elden Ring Night Rain on a smaller scale for Pokemon fans. I think that would be a very fun concept. Suffice to say, I hope that this is a returning feature in Pokemon Winds and Waves. The next thing that I have listed here to make multiplayer a little bit more interesting is something that isn't battle related. I think one of the main problems that a lot of people have with modern Pokemon is that it has pretty much devolved into battle exclusive events. We generally already thought it was kind of weird that they got rid of a lot of different aspects that they tried to introduce in earlier games, such as contests in Generation 3, or Underground and mining in Generation 4. I know some of the purposes of those things were to introduce them as gimmicks, but I don't see any reason as to why they had to be exclusive to those generations. Not that contests were necessarily, but for the most part, they're not here in modern titles. So instead of evolving on concepts like contests, like mining, like Pokestar Studios, it is exclusively now battling, trading, and raid battles for online content. I've been saying for a while now that I feel like we should start incorporating a little bit more in the online aspect, especially when it comes to activities we can actually do together. For example, I would have loved to see some form of like Pokemon sports or something along those lines. Don't get snippy with me. I know that Pokemon battling in of itself is a sport, but that's not what I'm talking about. Reintroducing something along the lines of the Pokeathlon would be an extremely interesting concept that I feel like a lot of people would appreciate a lot more this day and age. Kind of like a little miniature Mario Party situation where you pick a very specific set of Pokemon to participate in certain sports against your friends' Pokemon. Maybe you could throw out commands that could help out and give them ideas, or maybe you can't do anything and you just kind of have to watch and hope that the Pokemon that you picked was the right one for the job. Obviously, this as a concept would be more of a for fun thing. I don't think it's legal for them to incorporate actual sports betting, even with in-game currency. I mean, after all, there is a reason why we don't have the casinos anymore, but that's beside the point. But obviously, even then, older fans could still do something like betting if they really wanted to, and even then, streamers could have a lot of fun with it. Hell, we could have a lot of fun with it, just something to do. I think it would just be a fun and grand time just because. And hey, just like in Mario Party fashion, the more you play, the more you unlock. Just something fun and stupid to do, because why the hell not? I was also thinking about a concept of a safari catch contest. Generally weird that they didn't bring back the Safari Zone in any capacity, but I feel like it could be a lot of fun to have it so that you and your friends in real time could catch Pokemon in the overworld for a certain set amount of time, and maybe after you've caught a certain amount of Pokemon, maybe you could battle right then and there, and you know, whoever wins wins. Again, just fun, simple, stupid little concepts of things that we could do outside of just straight up battling, or at the very least maybe add some fun little neat twists to it if we can. And even if they didn't want to implement multiplayer mechanics for anything that I've mentioned, they could still add those concepts and just add a worldwide ranking system so that you could see where you rank based on the Pokemon that you've picked or based on the Pokemon that you've caught in the Safari in a certain amount of time and battled with. I just feel like it could make a massive difference as to how people are able to immerse themselves in these games. The more fun, dumb little stuff that they have to do with one another, the more that they're able to invest themselves in the game, and the more that they're able to connect with their Pokemon in ways they never thought possible. Now, we did touch upon battles a little bit, and I think we could still make it a little bit more interesting when it comes to how we go about battles. I mentioned a little earlier that Pokemon Champions is going to be the primary VGC that they utilize for tournaments and competitions going forward. Which means that maybe, just maybe, we could see some tweaks and additions to the battle modes in modern titles that we haven't had before. For example, I would love to see like a Blue.Sky style tournament in which we have 16 different players across the world and they try to reach the championship by battling one person at a time. Obviously, it would take way too long if people were doing full team 6v6 battles in a Blue.Sky style tournament. That wouldn't work. However, if they were able to pick maybe one or two Pokemon, hey, you know what? Now those tournaments are going a lot faster. We're able to see if these people are picking the right Pokemon to take on a wide array of opponents. Maybe one person picked just the right Pokemon to win it all. Now battles are quick, they're snappy, they go by in a flash, and you're on to your next opponent before you can even say, what the hell? In a more general sense, something that I would like to see for a lot of other online games, especially something like Pokemon, is actual lobbies where you could modify your Pokemon teams right there in the lobby with your friends, and then you guys could take turns battling one another and witnessing the battles as they happen. Hell, maybe incorporate some kind of endless run mode where you and your friends with a team of 6 each are battling against Pokemon after Pokemon after Pokemon until your entire team dies out, and whoever gets the farthest wins. Maybe that could be a general mode too. Maybe you guys don't even need to be able to, you know, connect to each other for that. Just do it. You know what I'm saying? I think it would just be a fun way to do things. Now, the last thing that I have listed here is actually extremely specific. In Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, they actually introduced an online mechanic in which you could join friends or random people utilizing a code of up to 4, and you guys could all play in the same area. In real time, you and your friends could roam around, catch and battle Pokemon, do raids together, and you know, play hide and seek. Something that people came up with. And you know, in theory and in advertising, it seemed like a phenomenal idea at the time. But in practice, it kind of turned out to be kind of moot. Frankly, it seemed a lot more beneficial for us to be within our own realms, to be able to find shiny Pokemon or to find individual raids that we could join each other on, as opposed to searching around in the same area. It was kind of fruitless. Now, I think that it's very clear that when it comes to Pokemon going forward, they are going pretty much all in with the open world formula. And you could definitely tell that they definitely had a much bigger idea for being able to jump into other people's worlds within Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, but they couldn't really flesh that out as much as they probably would have liked to. So what I'm hoping here is that they actually go in and double down on that mechanic, on that idea, and really flesh out whatever they were trying to do in Scarlet and Violet. Now that we're working with much better hardware and they had a little bit extra time to develop this game, maybe they have a little bit more intent and better ideas to incorporate with this mechanic. Maybe we can have 4 people or maybe even 6 people within the lobby, have live races against each other, maybe have on-the-spot Pokemon battles that everybody can see, and maybe we could all run into wild Pokemon and kind of get the jump on them if we wanted to. Find a way to incorporate more emotes. Hell, maybe if we're in an area that can incorporate some other little mechanics here and there, maybe we could like pick up snowballs and throw them at each other or something. Just small little stupid stuff that make playing with other people more fun. Cause yeah, outside of playing hide and seek with people, being able to jump into somebody's world in Scarlet and Violet was ultimately just kind of a waste of time. A cute idea, absolutely, but cute ideas aren't optimal in this modern world. Not anymore. Overall, I think you guys get what I'm getting at here by this point. Pokemon Winds and Waves undoubtedly has some of the best potential we have seen for a Pokemon game in a very long time, and just a little bit of what I've mentioned here being incorporated into this new title could definitely bring it up just a little bit of a notch for a lot of people. I really do fully believe that, but hey, you know what? Maybe that is just me. So that just about does it for this one. Sorry if I sound a little more tired this time around. I recorded this one late as hell. I really wanted to get cracking and get more consistent with a couple of things. So I'm trying something here, right? But that's not for you guys to worry about. You guys want content, I'm here to deliver it. So we gonna go ahead and do just that. But that being said, again, if you want more content out of me, something a little bit more consistent, even if it is a little bit more on the random side, make sure to follow me on my second channel where I am playing a bunch of different games, usually talking about them afterwards. Right now, I'm on a little bit of a Deltarune binge, right? I'm talking a lot about Deltarune because that's, I got brain rot for it, you know, Delta June, it happens, but it is very special and near and dear to me, and I'm really having fun talking about that. We're going to be talking about Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3, talking about Final Fantasy VII Revelations, and tons of other games that you might be interested in. So make sure to go check out the channel over there if you are interested in more stuff that we might be doing and talking and hanging out with. That sentence probably didn't make any sense. It's 1 a.m. So I'm going to go ahead and skedaddle on. But before I do, I'm passing the mic over to you guys, and I want you guys to tell me everything that you're thinking in the comment section below. Do you agree that these are a good couple of ways that could definitely help enhance the multiplayer aspect within Pokemon, especially in the modern era? Doing a couple of these things could maybe make the experience a little bit better for you going into Pokemon Winds and Waves? Or are you on the opposing side? You're not really feeling it. It doesn't really matter what they do. Pokemon is not gonna do it for you anymore, and Winds and Waves, it doesn't matter what it incorporates for multiplayer, its single player needs to be first and foremost, and nothing else matters. Tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I'm always gonna be down there with you guys. But with that, yes ma'am, it does appear to be skedaddle o'clock, so I'm gonna go ahead and do just that. I'd like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm gone. So thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor of taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye. Like this, like switch, like this, priceless, like this, like switch, like this, priceless, hit the light switch if you need a light switch, like this right quick for the night shift. I got the